All the dope I stepped on, yeah, I got my vest on. Re-up on the west lawn, yeah, I got my crest on. Power, powder, respect. I want that money and power and powder. Get paper, paper, yeah, I gotta stack that. Them diamonds keep blingin' bling and I might have to jack that. Step off with a little joint. A love force. I mean, we all love force. We all love to hear the story again and again of how it all got started way back when. And on that note, I'd like to welcome you to another episode recap of that good Power Book 4 Force, Season 3, Episode 10, the finale. This the last John, entitled Beginning of the End. Welcome to Like a Criminal, formerly Grown Movies and TV. I am your humble and most honorable host, Real. And this episode is brought to you by that good brandy, that VSOP, I really miss you, brandy. And Coke, Diet Coke, 'cause I'm old. You know what I'm saying? Old school. Let's just get down to brass tacks, shall we?
Like a criminal, like a criminal, like a criminal, like a criminal.
So we start off at JP's funeral, mourning the life and times of big player JP. Goddamn Kate up at the podium giving the eulogy, finding a way, as usual, to make the situation about her ass, She like JP was a good man. Fun fact, did you know I left JP and his daddy? Hit the church with that Tony Braxton off the rip. Did you know I made him leave? Did you know he begged to stay with me? He wasn't man enough for me. Mofos was in the church audience like, what? Kate was hitting him with fun facts and shit, like this mofo Kate. Start talking directly to JP father. She like, I will never forgive myself for how I did you, Herman. Goddamn Herman. This mofo Herman, a.k.a. Big Sonny. Also known as Sonny in the Shy, This mofo Herman sitting there with the tears coming down, Here she go peeling at an old scab. She like, Herman, you did a good job. In spite of my shape-shifting, white line sniffing, fifth of Tito's sipping ass. Herman sitting up in the audience like, why you putting on my business out there like that, Why I oughta. Kate on her platform, looking for goddamn crowd participation and shit in the goddamn church. She like, what kind of mother puts herself before her own child? Me, that's who. When I say selfish, you say Kate. Selfish, Kate. Selfish, Kate. Goddamn service get over. Tommy and the family leave out the spot. Outside waiting is Jenard and his crew, waiting to spit hot fire like Dylon into Tommy ass, I spit hot fire. Dylon, and Dylon. Tommy roll up out that joint with about 20 po-po with his ass. Open the church doors when they have a little stare down. He looking at them, they looking at him. Now Jenard, realizing he could serve no wine before it was time, pieced about that bitch, Power is all about the chess moves, if you didn't know. And this mofo Jenard just got caught playing checkers, They piece up out of there. At some point, Tommy dip out, Runs into a cat leaning up against a whip in an alley. Parked right next to where he parked, Jimmy, what they call him. Old jive time Jimmy. Go get Jimmy. Go get him! Y'all know what the f I'm talking about. Tommy! You killed it, my brother. Afro! Yeah! Oh, y'all don't hear me. And as Tommy walked past on his way to his car, this mofo asked Tommy if he got a light, Like, mofo, what? Tommy look at his ass, keep it moving. Ain't even acknowledge little player. This cat's menacing skills was goddamn horrible. Cause he approached Tommy, like with the slew foot. This mofo was Gollum slow, Like his ass was creeping toward his precious and shit, This mofo had a slew foot. Had a slew foot and all that. And an old school switchblade and shit. This motherfucker had a switchblade from the days of Pony Boy and the Outsiders and shit, This mofo hit that goddamn switchblade like... Motherfuckers in Detroit heard that loud ass switch click. Including Tommy. Heard this noisy mofo on his approach to shank his ass from behind. Got the drop on old player, Tommy did. Ends up putting the blade in little player neck after a little scuffle, sent little Gollum player. Where, see, sent his ass to the crossroads, sent his ass to Cleveland and shit. See you at the crossroads. But not before he let Tommy know that attack was courtesy of Vic Flynn. This mofo get to searching Jimmy pockets and shit, find his cell phone in his pocket. Puts it up to his face so he can get into the phone, I don't know why cats do that dumbass thumbprint, that facial recognition. Like, what is we doing? Ain't y'all criminals? The you want a face recognition thumbprint for in a goddamn database? Well, he get into Jive Time Jimmy phone. Calls up Vic, who laying low. Somewhere remote booed up with Lil Boo Ray, Cause this is just a stop on their way to wherever they final destination's supposed to be, And he let Vic know that he coming for his ass. Vic get off the phone a little shook, Ray trying to calm him down, see what's what. She's still calling his ass Jason Booker. At some point they watching the news, sees that Diamond is dead, Goddamn reporter was like, look at the gangs running shit in Chicago, Now with the Flynn's either gone or gone with the wind, Vic and his old Scarlett O'Hara moving ass. Lil Ray like, see, ain't you glad you left all that behind? You here with me. But this mofo Vic wasn't glad he left it all behind, because the news got his ass looking bad. Had his whole family, the dynasty, looking crazy, down bad, and all of that. Like this mofo was losing the battle. Let's be clear, Vic was losing the goddamn battle. At some point he outside sipping on some goddamn whiskey, shooting that glass and shit, like an old Western. Pissed off, Pissed off at the moment of clarity he was having about who he became, This mofo was on the run, came from a dynasty of respectful mofos, this motherfucker was a snitch. And now he don't know who the he is, Wakes up Ray with the goddamn gunshots. She come outside and try to get him back into the crib, He tells her he lost everything. Don't even know who he is anymore. She like, silly, you Jason Booker. He like, that. I ain't no goddamn Jason Booker. Let's be clear, this mofo Vic been losing the goddamn battle. You know who else was losing his battle? Goddamn Jenard. Motherfucking Jenard somewhere up on a goddamn warehouse balcony or rooftop or some shit, trying to hold it to goddamn together. This mofo was going down like MJB. No, this cat was on that good Rolls Royce, I'm going down. I'm going down. 'Cause you ain't around, baby. This motherfucker was strapping up. Not with heat. With that juice, that goddamn doogie fluid. Had a picture of a goddamn diamond on the table. This motherfucker was about to shoot up, This mofo was smoking Marlboros and shit, I thought brothers was all about them ports. Them Newports. That's how we do in the Northeast. I digress. What the do I know? He look at the pic of him and Diamond. Talks himself out to shoot up. Good for Jenard. Get to composing his ass. Get his shit together. Come down to where the rest of the crew at. Inside. Pouring out one for Diamond. Somewhere up in the warehouse socializing. At the CBI set. How CBI do they set shit, Jenard come up in the spot. Get straight to some unfinished CBI goddamn business. Rolls up on Raheem. He like, player. Where was your antennas this morning? You was MIA when it came to rolling up on Tommy ass at the church. What's really hood? This mofo Raheem was caught out there like Khalees, wasn't he? He like, oh man, I got caught up in some ass, Tried to get out of bed. Shorty was like, player. Hit me with that Mortal Kombat, Round 2. Fight. This mofo was smiling and shit, with that sheepish ass grin. Grinning like a A goddamn Cheshire cat, You could damn near see the word liar on his face, written all over that. It's written all over your face. You don't have to say a word. This mofo telling Jenard bold-faced, bald-head lies, wasn't he?
Bald-headed lies.
This mofo was caught up. Jenard double back on his ass. He like, okay. Well, what happened yesterday, player? When the melee went down. He like, I saw you give Shanti a pass. I seen you. When you could have taken her ass out. Last I saw, she rolled up in there pointing guns at us. So what's up, bro, man? What's up? You trying to play both sides of the fence here or what? He like, I'm only rolling with you, player, Now at this point, the crowd starting to gather, interested as a at the scene that's being caused, Everybody listening in now, Like somebody done turned down the turn up music and all of that. They all engaged at what the happening over here with Raheem. Jenard like, give me your phone, home skip. I'm just saying I need to see that phone. And Raheem ain't give no good goddamn reason for that phone not to be shown, He start to walk away. Tells Jenard to stop tweaking, Like minimizing his ass. Like Jenard was still using, And he figured the damn discussion was over. At least he hoped. Like it was going to die down and shit. If he start to go on about his own good goddamn business. And go on about his good goddamn business, he tried. But he added insult to injury, because not only did he look shady by not answering Jenard's questions and showing that goddamn phone, but he went back and pointed out Jenard's struggle with that demon. Put him back in that space, where disrespect was rampant. And this mofo Jenard passed the point of letting the motherfucker disrespect his ass, Like that time is over. And a disrespected, suspicious Jenard pulled out, put one square in Raheem's neck, like, wow! See you at the crossroads. Jenard grabbed the phone out his pocket, put it up to his grill. This the second time we've seen some shit like this in the episode. Motherfuckers is getting wiped out. He going Raheem phone. See the chat that Raheem and Shanti was having, on some secretive, take these motherfuckers down type shit. This mofo still had the chat in the goddamn phone. That amateur shit got his ass popped. Deader than a mofo. Jenard like, I know it. Tell his crew, anybody want to go out like this mother right here. This treasonous ass mofo. Try me. If you ain't with me, leave now. I mean, at one point they was called treason, wasn't they? And they all went back to sipping the finest of hood cognacs and vodkas while Raheem ass lay on the floor, his dreams of Shanti panty sniffing. Eternally at goddamn rest. Meanwhile, Tommy at the crib with the family, Shanti come over, tells Tommy Jenard's ass Ivan Drago little player Raheem, left his ass lifeless like Apollo Creed in her goddamn boxing ring, If he dies, he dies. You know. So now they know that CBI know that Raheem was one of hers. And Tommy get to figuring since they inside man is now with Jesus, well, Shanti the only one that could even get close enough to Jenard at this point to find out his next move. He must have forgot that old boy Jenard. Well, he down a bro. You know, last time I checked. You know, due to Shanti ass. And that inside goddamn man. But go down to Jenard's spot, she does. And she and Jenard get that rap, you know. Shanti talking to his ass like it was the same as it ever was and shit. Like he just finished braiding her hair and shit after a good goddamn meal. You know, she like, I'm sorry about Diamond. You know, I know that's what we planned. But Tommy doing it, well, that shit's unacceptable. Like, what the f? She up in that piece talking real crazy. You know, talking some unity and shit, you know. Unity! Like, mofo, if he ain't FedEx, UPS ground ship Raheem ashy ass, bleeding ass, body to her front door. Like she would have still been here in this moment, trying to partner with his ass. He like, oh no, now you with Tommy now, you know, so I'm gonna have to decline this. She like, I ain't with that. Like, what? I know his ass was thinking, mofo, you was just with his ass yesterday when Diamond got shot. You talking about? Like your gun was bussin' too. But he just listened. And she tell him she's still playing that long game, you know. She like, did you see me kill anybody? He like, okay, what up, though? Tells her he want that old thing back, you know. Now I want that old thing back. Make these moments once again a fact. Y'all know what the I'm talking about. She like, nah, player. We can with each other, but we can't each other, you know. Emphasis on the wit. She like, I'm here for business. So what's the plan to get rid of Tommy? Let's get back to that. And he tell her he gonna have everybody over for snacks tomorrow night, you know, to figure some shit out. And once Tommy gone, well, they can split the territories up 50-50. She smiling in his grill like was gravy, you know. Like shit was peachy keen. She piece up out of there. And nobody was buying what the Shanti was selling, you know, and she know it. She get back to Tommy, tell him mofos wasn't buying. But does tell him about the meat Jenard said they was having. Just then he get a text from McDowell about a goddamn meet. Dips out to go see what that about. You know, goddamn Marquez and the Estrada cartel players together up in a building with a drain indoor pool and shit, you know. Holding session, set to chop it up. Che tell Tommy and McDowell that the goddamn cartels are merging, you know. Says if Tommy want to do any business, well, he doing it with both entities now, you know, as one unit. Tommy like, nah, that. And he and McDowell start to dip out. Che like, hold up, player. You ain't heard the best part yet, you know. Tells him for this merger to work, well, it requires a sacrifice, you know, a goddamn blood sacrifice. Like they was about to cut a chicken head off and shit, you know. Like some goddamn voodoo was about to pop off. Jay talking about somebody up in here been a pain in the goddamn tuchus since he came to town. And it's time this mother go. Was looking like Tommy ass was about to get got, Looked like mofos was surrounding Tommy and all of that. This mofo Che pulled out the piece, pointed it at Tommy. Then he handed it to Tommy, Said Roberto Ortega was his kill, And in quick fashion, like Tommy had some shit to do, puts 2 in Ortega's gut like blow, blow. And a final fatal bullet in his dome piece. Blah! Blew the hat off this motherfucker's head and all of that. Then he and McDowell pieced up out that joint, At some point, Tommy goes and gets a rap with the RDs, Hollers at Grayskull, who tells his ass that when he deliver D-Mac, then they can talk some business. Tommy like, oh, you ain't never getting D-Mac, not my little nephew. Tells him D-Mac wasn't his concern anyway. He was Kilo's. And Kilo dead. Dead 'cause Jenard put his ass down, tells Grayskull some shit he ain't even know. 'Cause Jenard told his ass that JP killed Kilo and JoJo, And after Tommy explained to Grayskull who JP was and who JP wasn't, the shit started to make sense to Grayskull, Tommy like, plus, Marquez and Estrada cartels is now like one big-ass goddamn cartel player. And they f***ing with me. Guess who they ain't f***ing with? CBI. This mofo was sounding like Calvin on the goddamn Chappelle show, He like, if you want some whack Arnolds, you gots to go through me, He hit Grayskull with that good faith 8-ball and MJG, Told Grayskull he should roll with him and his crew. Sure enough riding, won't you come roll with me? Come on, roll with me. We can put the top down on the highway, feel the breeze. Pimp tight, MJG. Better get up on the mic with a passion. Y'all know what the f*** I'm talking about, But Grayskull dead. Sounded like a goddamn winner, too, Told Tommy he gon' ride with him. But only because Jenard is a goddamn fool, Called his ass incompetent. How you gonna be an incompetent drug dealer, Don't nobody want to be on that motherfucking team. Tommy asked Grayskull to find out what Jenard's next move gonna be, So they can get to that goddamn money already. Tommy piece up out of there. And at some point later that day, Grayskull catches up with CBI, This mofo Jenard telling the crew his plans. He like, yeah, I told Shanti we was meeting up for snacks and strategy planning tomorrow night. When this mofo Tommy show up, boom, we got his ass. We gonna take him out. Yeah, it's gonna be lovely. This mofo was giving out generic ass Baby Pop wanna play calls and shit, Goddamn Smurf and Bones was eating it up too, wasn't they? They was eating that shit up. Little Jenard, little bullshit plan. He like Tommy gonna come for us, right? But we gonna be next door, see? And when he come in, thinking we gonna be her, we gonna be over her. Then we gonna give him everything we got. Goddamn Smurf was like, that boy good. Grayskull eating up all this info, trying not to laugh and shit. When the goddamn meeting was over, he hit Tommy up on the cell like, these mofos moving over to the trees and lumber yard. Kill these bitches over there. Meanwhile, along the way, D-Mac fully entrenched in his world of hatred right now, ready to become whatever the he gonna become, fueled with tunnel vision anger, at finishing what they started, doesn't want none of this for little shorty Genesis though, drops by her crib, yells at her ass for no good goddamn reason, This mofo D-Mac came in, gives her a manila envelope full of cash for college, Tells her he can't come with her though, 'cause he no good for her. She hit his ass with the new edition, She like, is this the end? Mama told me one day it was gonna happen, but she never told me when. Y'all know what the I'm talking about. She like, Darnell, is this the end? Why you talking to me like this? Now, up to this point, everything was kind of calm, kind of mild. Conversation tones was like on a level 3. She like, you talking to me like this the ending shit. This motherfucker D-Mac went to an immediate goddamn 15. His ass went up like 12 goddamn octaves and shit for no good goddamn reason. He like, it is the end. Started grabbing little Genesis up and shit. Like this mofo needed a goddamn tranquilizer shot, Some Xanax or something. This motherfucker needed a drink, some sleep among other things. But what he really needed was a body, Jenard body, to answer for his pops, now laying 6 feet under. This motherfucker was high strung. He pieced up out of there though, Meanwhile, goddamn DiFranco get to confronting Sang's ass, after seeing him in the Turtle Club with the goddamn cartel lawyer. He did some digging of his own. This mofo Sang was up in Stacy old office, getting comfy unpacking his shit, because he done took her spot. DiFranco come in, hit his ass with that orange juice Jones, I saw you and him walking in the rain. He like, I missed you yesterday. That's right. I missed you so much I followed your ass. I seen you. That's right, now sit down here. I saw you and him. He said, I saw y'all. I saw y'all in that goddamn tortoise club and all of that. You and the little cartel player, who ain't really a lawyer. Said, I watched him give you an envelope full of cash and all of that, Showed him a pic of the two of them, booed up having drinks. This mofo DiFranco produced bank statements and all of that. Like this motherfucker had all the receipts. Sang tried all the angles too to weasel out of what was an uncomfortable situation for his ass. I mean, DiFranco had his goddamn number. He like, well, I'm about to be sworn in as the new U.S. attorney, you know. DiFranco like, I don't give a f***. I will expose your ass. Let's be clear. Tell Sang if he don't want that fate, he need to lure and arrest Tommy, you know. Then he need to flip on the cartel. Then maybe, just maybe, he might ask the authorities to go light on his ass. You know, this motherfucker Sang was like, is that all? This motherfucker Sang got on his goddamn James Ingram. You know, this motherfucker was trying to find 100 ways to wiggle out of his goddamn situation. Find 100 ways. Y'all know what the f*** I'm talking about. I told you I'm old. You know, this motherfucker Sang was trying to find all the goddamn angles. You know, even bribery. But DiFranco was too good for all of that. You know, he like, I don't want none of that. All I want is justice for Stacy. And eventually they settle on him meeting up with Tommy and getting him to say that he killed Stacy. He like, I'll take it from there. And Sang calls Tommy, you know, tells him he the new U.S. attorney and that he want to talk about some shit that could work out for the both of them, you know, and they set up a meet. Eventually Sang and Tommy meet, you know. Sang tells Tommy that he can offer him cartel services, you know. Told Tommy news he already knew, you know, about the cartel merger. Said he in good with Roberto Ortega, you know, so how about that? Tommy tells his ass that's nice. Tells him some shit he ain't know though, you know, which was Roberto Ortega was dead. Saying like, oh, okay, well I guess we already work together then. You know, this Tommy like, no, guess you work for me now. Ain't no goddamn working together. And after it's clear what's what, this mofo Sang still try to get his mission off, you know. He like, okay, but you did kill Stacy, didn't you? Like, mofo, what? This Tommy get to snatching his ass up. Runs into the wire Sang was wearing. And right before Tommy could pop two in Sang's weaselly little ass, this mofo start hollering his goddamn safe word and shit for DiFranco help. And DiFranco pop out, puts the gun on Tommy. And they get to hollering back and forth about who gonna put the gun down. On some you put it down, no you put it down, no you put it down. And while all this bickering about who gonna put the goddamn gun down is happening, this mofo Sang pick his gun up. Puts one square in DiFranco dome piece, point blank, like, blow! Boom, 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 boom. Now tell me what you gonna do when there ain't nowhere to hide. See you at the crossroads. This mofo DiFranco got smoked. Ain't nobody see it coming, you know. And them two get a new, more clarified understanding of the facts on the goddamn ground. Sang tell Tommy to get up out of there, you know, that he gonna clean that up. And at some point he gets sworn in as the new U.S. attorney. Dirties up both Stacy and DiFranco names. Some up. Said they was both dirty. Said they was both working with the gangs. And that's how they both got smoked. Said they took hundreds of thousands in bribes to fund her mayoral campaign. But he is committed to getting the drugs and the gangs off the Chicago motherfucking streets. That's how it go, right? You know. Let's get back to Tommy. So he piece up out his meeting with Sang in the goddamn boiler room. Catches back up with his crew up at McDowell's spot. Tells him the plan Grayskull gave him, about CBI moving over to the trees and lumber yard. And they get to planning, realizes they gonna need more people, Cause even with their immediate teams and Manny Fresh's people, well, it ain't enough. And Tommy get to grabbing and calling in some chips, Turns out this the call that Tariq ass got at the end, the season finale of Power Book 2 Ghost, And at some point, Tommy and the crew roll out and roll up on CBI, ready to get this over with. These motherfuckers rolled up on CBI like 15 cars deep. And while they on the outside, CBI up in the spot bickering and shit, This one cat was up in that devouring a goddamn steakum and shit. This mouth was greasy. Greasy. All of a sudden, this mofo had a red dot on his head, Had mayonnaise in the corner of his mouth. And a red dot on his big ass forehead. And goddamn Smurf seen it, Like this motherfucker's not got rocked. And the shit was officially set off, for the next little bit of time. All you saw was choppers chopping, pistols popping. Player, you don't know me. I mean, cats was getting sprayed the up. Next thing we see, everybody running out of bullets. Motherfuckers was tired and shit. All these cats was somewhere sitting down and shit, Tired, shot the up. Shit, aside from the first set of shots, he fired when Tommy and crew came in. I ain't see Jenard bust not one goddamn shot. This mofo was in a goddamn bunker. This motherfucker was MIA. Goddamn Shanti and McDowell was reduced to hollering out and shit, Goddamn well-wishing, courtesy of a slug from bones in both they asses. Tommy ran out of goddamn bullets. All you heard was McDowell and Shanti ass watching his ass from afar, cheering and shit. All you heard was, "You got this, Tommy.
Down, Tommy. They're closing in.
Watch out, Tommy. Tommy, they closing in. Tommy." These motherfuckers was hollering. "They killed it, my brother." Y'all know what the I'm talking about. Goddamn hounds was closing in on Tommy ass. Demons was approaching from above and the sides. All his goddamn allies, all of them, was in a safe goddamn location watching and shouting as Tommy ass was about to be murdered and Like, ain't nobody come out of goddamn hiding. Right before the wolves could end Tommy's existence, well, Jesus said it was their time to go, because here come goddamn Tariq and his three amigos. Like, this motherfucker was back up. This mofo came with 3 goddamn cats and shit. Laying cats down, saving the goddamn day. Then they stood there for like 30 seconds, sly grinning and shit, giving head nods, like the rest of the goddamn CBI threat was eliminated. They sitting there grinning at each other like. Like it wasn't no more CBI left. Meanwhile, goddamn Smurf get to moseying his ass out of goddamn back room and shit. This motherfucker be moseying. Like, where was these mofos at? Did they run out of bullets too? Smurf like, come on, y'all, we out. They got backup. I'm like, mother, what? You better get the gun busting. Shit, we out. These had a back out plan and shit, you know. Like these motherfuckers had guns all this time. Goddamn backup just got here. And goddamn Tommy ass was fiddling with his weapon for a goddamn minute. Long enough to be taken advantage of. Goddamn Smurf and his fellas scurried the up out of there, didn't they? Like rats and shit. These motherfuckers meet back up in Diamond old room. Jenard giving his goddamn Colonel Mustard ass speech and shit, you know. He like, I know we just lost the battle, but we ain't lose the war. You know, he like it be like that sometimes. Mofos lock in. This motherfucker always hollering about lock in and shit. Last time he asked cats to lock the in, this mofo was sniffing the product. Goddamn Bones done had enough. Tells Jenard, player, since you been in charge, shit been hella ass. Like mofo, we been losing the goddamn war. And everybody in the room agreed. And these mofos had a moment. Like they took their whiz masks off and shit, you know. Seen a brand new day out from under CBI. Ain't want to work for Eveline no goddamn more. Cause all they was getting was goddamn bad news. They was like, no bad news. Came to their goddamn senses, didn't they? Too late in my goddamn opinion. But better late than never. And they tell Jenard ass, we ain't never had no problem with Tommy. You know, like y'all just realizing that these mofos start to walk out. I guess flipping like a pancake ain't look so bad in this case, you know. And Jenard trying to make his case. You know, he like, well, Tommy killed Diamond. Little player Bones was like, mofo, that was your goddamn bullet. Had your goddamn name on it. I synced it. And as most mofos associated with Jenard do at some point in their connection with Jenard ass. Sometimes to their own goddamn peril. Well, Bones got the disrespecting Jenard, you know, to his person, to his face. Told Jenard he wasn't a leader of shit. Jenard like, mother, what? Bitch, I will kill you. Started to reach for his gun. Goddamn Smurf got unstable as a mother, didn't he? This mother quick draw McGraw on his ass. Put the gat to Jenard dome piece. Told Jenard don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it, baby. He like, don't do that. This motherfucker Smurf was not playing. I felt every line of that shit. This motherfucker Smurf had goddamn snapped. And a calm ass Bones dissed Jenard about 2 more times before he pieced the up out of there, you know. Called his ass a coward. Told him his death was coming. Pieced the up out of there, you know. Left Jenard ass toying with the idea of getting a head start on that foreseen death shit, you know. Had the bullets lined up. 6-shooter on the table. But goddamn Vic showed up, you know. Tells him they got a common enemy. So now he got a friend. Like these 2 villains, who both needed to be deaded more than anybody in this goddamn Power series. Still alive. And now seemingly about to be working together to be Tommy's biggest pain in the ass down the road. And as for Bones, Smurf, and the rest of the coalition leaders, well, them cats rolled down the McDowell spot, you know. told Miguel and Tommy that they rolling with they ass. You know, they was rolling with Rush. Now, Rush Town Management. Tariq up in the spot, seeing this mofo Uncle Tommy doing the damn thing. Him and D-Mac getting a rap, you know, telling him how Uncle Tommy how powerful he is and shit, you know, tell him he having a baby and how that little motherfucker gonna be unstoppable. Talks up the crew. Then this motherfucker Tariq witnessed the goddamn ops who they was just beefing with, not more than 4 hours ago. Sees them abandoning ship, coming to roll with Uncle Tommy ass. This motherfucker Tariq look a little salty, didn't he? Like, goddamn, I'm the mofo. I'm the smartest cat in the room. You know, like this mofo Tommy came to Chicago wanna humble. And now he the king of Chi-Town. You know, is going on here. This motherfucker Tariq was witnessing some shit, wasn't he? And soon after he witnessed Tommy run that next goddamn coalition meeting, you know, where Shanti is crowned a new queen, you know, bricks being handed out like goddamn water bottles at a 3K run. This motherfucker Tariq like, shit. Tommy peace out the spot real quick to check on Maria. You know, tell her ass they won. You know, these motherfuckers are sitting on top of the world. And Tariq follows his ass outside, and they get a rap. Comes out, calls Tommy the king of Chicago, you know, with a little spite in his voice, you know, little something in there with it, you know. Tommy thanks Tariq for coming out. And they confirm their strong, long family ties, you know. Tommy gives Tariq his props. Tariq tells him he need help back in New York, you know. Says shit was going a little left and that he need a new partner. Tells Tommy, you know, ain't no challenge left in Chicago. This shit looks sewn up to me. Asked Tommy to come move his powder back in NYC with his ass. You know, build legacy with family back in New York. And Tommy kind of feeling it, you know, bringing his family to New York and all, getting back to his roots. The goddamn OG power music start playing, you know. They say this is a big rich town. I just come from the poet's part. Bright light city life I gotta make. Like some continuation about to jump off, you know. And there you have it. Will we get a power spinoff with Tariq and Tommy taking New York back? It looked that way, goddamn it. I'd love to see it. I mean, they say power never ends, right? Let's hope not.